everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be reading the last 4 books of 2024. Yay! So I have 4 more books to kind of complete my reading goal. I'm at 46 now and I want to read 50 this year. So I thought it would be a kind of a fun way to get me over the finish line by using a random number generator to pick my reads, because I just want to focus on reading. I don't want to need to think about it or to spend time trying to find out what I'm going to read. So I thought it'd be kind of a fun video to do this. Alright, let's spin the wheel to find out what my last read of 2024 is going to be. $76, okay. So, we're going to scroll down here. Okay, this is 1,000 Miles to Graceland by Kristen May Chase. That was number 76 on my Goodreads TBR. This book I've been wanting to read for quite a while. I feel like I said it about every book, but that's true. So let's spin the wheel again to see what we get for the next read. $121, okay. Let's see which one that is. The Unsinkable Greta James by Jennifer E. Smith, okay. This is another one that both of those were kind of my contemporary romance reads that I was kind of going to get rid of, but get rid of on my TBR, but have stayed, so we'll see how those go. I think those are going to be audiobook candidates. $180, okay. Let's see. Yeah, I put all of my TBR books obviously on there, so it's nearly 300 books. Okay, this one. Ooh, okay, this is Finley Donovan Jumps the Gun by Elle Cosimano. I love this series. I'm very excited to get to read another one of those. I've been wanting to read the next in that series for quite a while now, so that's exciting. Okay, last one. My last book of 2024 will be book 165. Okay, what is that? The Antique Hunter's Guide to Murder by C.L. Miller. That's exciting. That's a newer edition. I think that might be a new release, like a 2024, 2023 release, but I'm excited for that. Okay. Alright, so we have our 4 books that I'm going to be reading as my last 4 books of 2024. So, let's get into it. So I have finished 1,000 Miles to Graceland and I gave this 2 stars. So this book is about a girl who has moved out of her hometown in Texas and she's living it up in Boston. She is her marriage is on the rocks, she's getting divorced, she's kind of going through a lot of personal changes. And growing up she was always very embarrassed of her mother because her mother dresses like Priscilla Presley in southern rural Texas. So if you don't know who Priscilla Presley is, it's Elvis's wife, but Google her because she had quite the outfits and was very much a staple of dressing in the 50s. So yeah, I can see why she would be embarrassed that her mum was dressing like this. But her mum loves Elvis, and basically is kind of getting older. She's not really doing so well, and the daughter is kind of happy to have escaped that life and is living on her own. And then the mum really wants the daughter to come back and for them to go to Graceland together. So the daughter ends up agreeing kind of reluctantly and goes on this trip with her mum to Graceland, which is where Elvis is from, and kind of going to do all the Elvis-y stuff. So it's about their journey of kind of reconnecting, facing some of the demons from the daughter's childhood and what the mother was going through that she never really saw or acknowledged because she was a kid. So yeah, it was interesting, but yeah, it was not my favourite. I kind of went into this knowing I wasn't going to love it. I think I said before that I didn't, I knew I was kind of on the fence about getting this off my TBR and just not even reading it, but my mom's very into Elvis, and this story is kind of about, a girl going with her mum to Graceland because her mom's really into Elvis and aging, and I thought it might be interesting, but yeah, it was not great. I did not love it, and I know that this is I don't like this genre very much. I'm not a big romance reader or these kind of contemporary, really feely stories. I want to love them, but I just don't. So I definitely think this could be for someone else, but it just wasn't for me. And I think I read it a lot because of the Elvis thing, and there wasn't very much Elvis in it, which was a bit disappointing. And it was also just very predictable. I feel like it kind of thought that it was doing some really fresh new stuff, but it was, you know, the main character meets a guy and you know instantly that she's going to end up with him and that kind of thing. So I could see a lot of that coming, and that was a bit disappointing. But I definitely think it was a heartwarming story, and it could definitely be someone else's favourite, but yeah, it just was not mine. Oh, and as well, it just felt like it went on for ages. I feel like we could have cut out a good amount of that, but anyway, that's, yeah, it was a bit disappointing, but I'm not entirely surprised. Alright, the next book I read was The Unsinkable Greta James, which was another 2-star. Also, kind of in the same category as, whatever it was. I'm already forgetting it, I've literally just talked about it. This was very similar to 1,000 Miles to Graceland, where it's kind of a rom-com-y contemporary that I probably shouldn't have read and was not going to read, but pushed myself to and didn't love it. So this book is about a kind of pop star, famous singer, songwriter, guitarist, something like that. And her mum dies, and her dad and her mum were supposed to go on this cruise to Alaska, and she ends up taking the mum's place. It's kind of like that she wasn't there when her mum died because she was on tour, and she tried to perform a new song she wrote about her mum, and then she like crashed and burned, and everyone's like obsessing over the clip on the internet. It's about her finding her feet again, and her dad never believed in her career and all that stuff. I'm sorry, I did not like this book. My notes for this were very, let's say, concise. But yeah, it was just not for me. Again, it was very kind of repetitive. I could see stuff coming. It just seemed like it was trying to do a new thing, and it really wasn't. I wish I'd enjoyed it again, but I didn't. I kind of knew I wasn't going to, but just because I don't want to say hated it, but did not like it, doesn't mean you're not going to. So I'm not bashing either of these books or these authors. They're definitely not poorly written books or anything like that. It's just, it was not my cup of tea. So take my scathing review with a heaping spoon of salt. Yeah. Spoon of salt? Pinch of salt. But I suppose in this case it should be a spoon of salt. The next book I read was Finlay Donovan Jumps the Gun. This is the third in the Finlay Donovan series, which is about a single mum who is a writer. She is in a cafe talking to her agent one day when she is discussing her like murder mystery plot, and someone confuses her for a hit woman, and she takes the money accidentally and gets wrapped up in this, trying to give the money back, accidentally has to like hide bodies and all that kind of stuff. So it is a really fun series. I picked it up like accidentally at a bookshop ages ago and just thought it was a cute cover. Ended up being one of my favourite mystery series. So it's definitely unique, and it's got a really fun kind of voice. You see the characters' humour and all that, so I love that. But this was, I think, my least favourite so far. Not by much, it was a 4-star. But it follows Finlay. She has kind of gotten rid of, I won't say too much because I know that, you know, I don't want to spoil, but she's gotten rid of one of her, she was in a bit of a love triangle, so one of the love triangle members, shall we say, has been kind of moved out. She's kind of focusing on one of the love triangles. Her ex-husband is kind of trying to rekindle things with her, which is putting her, you know, in a bit of a spot with the new guy, and he's just an annoying human. But then she's also trying to deal with the whole, you know, hit woman thing, that people keep thinking she's a hit woman. She's got like the mafia after her now because they've paid her for a job and she's trying to return the money and they're not letting that happen. And then her and her really fun like nanny are going to a police like training camp for research on her book, but also to find like this mole that they think they found. So it's just a bunch of hijinks. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil, but I would highly recommend this series. It's just so much fun, and it's like light enough that it's still silly and funny, but it's still an interesting mystery, so you can still kind of enjoy that. So yeah, I apologise for the lighting, by the way, guys. I'm like racing the sun here while I have a moment of peace to try and film this, so I'm sorry. Alright, I have finished The Antique Hunter's Guide to Murder, and I have given it 4.5 stars. This was a very pleasant surprise. First of all, I started off reading the audiobook, and it's narrated by Emilia Fox, who is like in this detective show that I love, and I was listening to it going, hang on, that sounds very familiar. So that was really funny, but I ended up stopping reading the audiobook so that I could properly read it because I really wanted to appreciate it, and I'm so glad I did because I loved this book. It was so charming and just, yeah, so much fun. But let me tell you what it's about first. So we're following this character, Freya, there we go, Freya and her aunt, Carol, and Carol has this friend who Freya used to work with, who dies under kind of suspicious circumstances, who owns an antique shop. And Freya used to be his apprentice. There was this big falling out that we don't know what happened. And Freya is like not spoken to him since, but Carol really needs Freya's help. So Freya comes back to kind of help the aunt sort through everything, plan the funeral. And the guy who's died has left them like a trail of clues saying this is it's a big conspiracy, and that if he's dead, it was not an accident. So they're trying to unwind that. Freya gets the answers to what happened, like that kind of blew up her life. It's also her kind of adjusting to like life after her child has grown up and kind of leaving the nest. So it was really interesting kind of seeing her connect with her roots again. And I think this is kind of one of those meaningful stories that hits the mark for me, whereas, you know, some of the other ones I spoke about in this video were trying to do this, but it just didn't really land, and I really enjoyed it in this book. But it was a lot of fun. It was an interesting mystery, twists and turns, really fun characters, fun settings, and just, yeah, a weird premise that there's like these antiques, and, you know, An Antique Hunter's Guide to Murder is a pretty catchy title. But I would highly recommend this book. It was fun. It had, you know, enough kind of meaning and depth that it wasn't too, you know, faffy and light. But I really enjoyed it, and I'm very happy that it was my final read of 2024. So I have completed my Goodreads goal and finished it with a 4.5 no less, so that's not too bad. Alright guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, consider hitting like or subscribing to see more content like this. Leave me a comment down below letting me know how many books you read in 2024. And if you want to join me on Goodreads or Instagram, my links are in the description below. I hope to see you guys in another video soon. Bye!